Hi everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar on how you can expand your business in Amazon Singapore today. I'm Rachel, a regional account manager from the Amazon Singapore team, and I have Angie here with me today.
Hi everyone, my name is Angie, and as Rachel mentioned, we are from the Amazon Singapore team. We provide account management support to high potential selling partners to help them grow their business on Amazon Singapore.
Before we get into the details, please note that this session is being recorded and we will send the recording link over to all of you once the session has ended. Do also download the reading material handouts where you will find useful guides to launching your business in Amazon Singapore. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat box and we will run through the questions at the end of the session. In today's session, we will first share a bit about the e-commerce space in Singapore and how you can go about deciding what to sell. We will then move on to some promotions and benefits you can enjoy as new sellers on our platform and dive a bit deeper into the fees involved in selling on Amazon Singapore. We will then end off with a brief guide on how you can launch your business on Amazon Singapore.
Well, Rachel, we do have a lot of out of country sellers with us here today in the audience. Why don't you give all of them a brief introduction about Singapore?
Sure, Singapore is situated in Southeast Asia near the equator, and we are roughly the size of New York City with a GDP larger than San Francisco City. Like New York or San Fran, Singapore is cosmopolitan, multicultural, multilingual, and multiracial. We also have a very high e commerce penetration rate. Most sellers want faster setup time, seamless logistics, and harmonized business processes between two countries. Singapore offers that and more. Today, Singapore has become an economic powerhouse with an impressive resume. The numbers speak for themselves when it comes to the ease of doing business and logistics connectivity in Singapore. Singapore is ranked number 2 worldwide in terms of ease of doing business and number 1 in terms of customs clearance. We are also ranked number 1 in Asia for IP protection. And on top of all that, Singapore is the most connected city in Asia with 26 free trade agreements, including the US SG FTA, which makes the import of select goods to Singapore tariff free. With ASEAN as Singapore's backdrop, Singapore is connected to 3 billion Southeast Asian consumers within a 6-hour flight radius, and Singapore is the hub for accessing the Southeast Asian economies, expected to be the fourth largest economy in the world by 2030.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. That sounds really exciting. Could you maybe also share with us what is the e-commerce landscape like in Singapore?
Sure, despite the small population size in Singapore, our high buying power more than makes up for it. We are also an export hub to the rest of Southeast Asian countries. There's still a strong growth potential for e-commerce in Singapore, with the e-commerce industry revenue expected to exceed 4.6 billion USD by 2025. The average basket size across Southeast Asia has also increased by 23% despite COVID-19, and Singapore shows one of the biggest improvements with a growth of 51%. Amazon Prime specifically has ranked the third most recommended brand in Singapore just within 2 years of launching. All these translate to high revenue potential for sellers like yourselves in a country that already speaks English and has high e commerce usage. As a developed country, Singapore has highly sophisticated e-commerce customers, with the e-commerce space here in Singapore being largely driven by young consumers between the age of 18 to 29. Mobile commerce is extremely important in Singapore, with 47% e-commerce transactions done on a mobile device. Singaporeans are also very active on social media, mainly on Facebook and Instagram, where live streaming and use of influencers are on the rise. Shoppers are generally motivated by cheap and fast shipping, with clear expectations on delivery dates, deals, and promotions, as well as range and quality. Overall, Singapore customers are used to and love discovering new overseas brands and products, with 73% of online consumers having shopped from overseas sellers versus the 34% in US, and some of the top cross-border online shopping origins include China, US, and South Korea, as consumers are constantly looking for higher quality goods not found locally. And again, all these translates to high revenue potential for sellers like yourselves. With our active investment in online and offline marketing, Amazon has also successfully established a strong brand presence here in Singapore. Despite our small population size, we are the third biggest export destination for Amazon.com, and our Amazon Prime program has one of the highest household penetration for Amazon worldwide. The last Prime Day we had in 2021 was a huge success, and we saw record-breaking sales.
Well, Rachel, that was very informative, and the Singapore marketplace definitely sounds very well positioned for growth. Now, let's really go into the details here. I'm sure many of you, audience members, are curious to find out more about the type of products that are popular in Singapore. Rachel, maybe you can share with the audience member here today what are the top ranked categories as well as popular products that will do well on Amazon Singapore?
Sure, there are many categories that you can list your products in. This slide shows you how Amazon categorizes products and the available categories to sell on Amazon Singapore. The main categories are consumer electronics, where top performing categories include electronics, personal computer, and wireless products. Then we have consumables, where we see high performers in health and personal care, beauty, and baby. Other hard lines include home, kitchen, sports, and toys. And lastly, we have media and soft lines. Do take note that when listing certain brands or in certain categories, prior approval might be needed. Under the electronics category, there are 33 types of controlled goods that would require a safety mark logo registered with Enterprise Singapore before you can send those items to our fulfillment center. To find out more about these restrictions, you can visit our website. To give you slightly more insight into top products here in Amazon Singapore, these are the top sellers in 2021 from the wireless, computer accessories, and health and personal care categories. Under wireless, we have products like activity trackers, device protection accessories, and smartwatches that have been performing really well. And under computer accessories, we have things like USB hubs, monitors, and laptops. Under health and personal care, we have face masks, scales, and supplements that have also been doing consistently well. For beauty supplies, products like face wash, moisturizer, and hair regrowth treatments do well. And under electronics, we have adapters, headphones, and cables. Under household products, we have desk lamps, grow your own kits, and LED strips. And lastly, under kitchen supplies, we have basting brushes, food and dish transport, as well as sports water bottles that have been doing well. You can also identify top selling products by going to our Amazon SG page and navigating to our bestseller page. Once you're on the Amazon SG page, just click on the top left hand corner on the All button and it will bring you to this next page. Then you can click on bestsellers that will bring you to the next page where you can select the category in which you are interested in finding out what the top products are. So in this example, we have electronics and you can see the top items in that category. We refresh this page hourly so you can use this to stay updated and get a better understanding of what consumers here in Singapore are purchasing. You can then use this as a reference when deciding what products to bring into Singapore when you start selling. Here we have an overview of the campaigns for 2022. If you need more guidance on what to sell, you can look out for our upcoming campaigns and list products that are in line with the upcoming campaigns. Here in Singapore, we do have a lot of campaigns for double-digit sales where 99, 11, and 12 are historically the biggest double-digit events. And we highlight certain product categories during these events. You can then take reference to these categories and launch products before the events so as not to miss out on any features. We also celebrate some special holidays here in Singapore, such as Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, and Deepavali. In Amazon specifically, Prime Day and Black Friday Cyber Monday are the biggest events and most product categories will be featured during those events. So do list as many items as you can and set aside stocks for Singapore prior to those events. We also provide a selection guidance for sellers which is included in our handout material, so do download it to find out more. In that guide, we cover top consumer trends and highlight some of the popular products and trending searches under each category. We also have the event calendar in that guide for your reference. There are many exciting events that sellers can look forward to. Angie, do you know if we have any promotions that sellers can utilize when starting on Amazon Singapore?
Yes, Rachel, I'm glad you asked. We actually have a lot of support and promotions available to help sellers like yourself launch into the Singapore marketplace. So, here's a rough overview of what we have. Firstly, we do have the professional account monthly subscription fee waived off to the end of this year, 31st December 2022. And secondly, we are having a FBA promotion called the New Selection Program, where we are offering sellers free storage and free removals. I will give a bit more information on this promotion later on as well. And thirdly, we are also having free deals as well as vouchers exposure. So no fees at all for any deals and vouchers created for all deal types, especially if you are using FBA. For vouchers, you are free to use it even for FBA or fulfillment by merchant ASINs. And lastly, we are also offering a free $65 in click credits for sellers to get them started on sponsored ads. Well, please note that for the discounted subscription for multiple countries, you can sign up for accounts in any marketplaces, and the monthly subscription fee for a professional account will always be capped at $39.99 USD. So this offers you to sell at multiple marketplaces at a steeply discounted price. Furthermore, for the Singapore marketplace in particular, we are waiving off the Singapore specific monthly subscription fee that I've mentioned earlier to the end of this year 2022. So there is absolutely no additional cost for you to register for a professional selling account with us. Moving on to the referral fee, as you can see on the screen, we have our referral fee for Singapore ranges from 6% to 15%. And compared to the .com rates, which is the US marketplace, you can definitely see that we have a relatively lower referral fee as well. And next, moving deeper into some of the FBA promotions that we have. First of all, I'm sure many of you here would be familiar with FBA and the benefits that comes along with FBA. So we have found that ASINs with FBA typically see an increase in conversion rate by 2.4 times on average. And with FBA, of course, the benefits is that our Singapore customers will be able to get their products within 1 day domestic shipping. So your product will now be Prime eligible and also be featured with a Prime badge. So definitely our Prime customers here in Singapore will be able to discover your FBA products better once it's on FBA. And furthermore, you do not need to worry about returns as well as delivery, because all this will be handled by our customer service as well as the associates in the FBA warehouse. And next, you are also able to participate in free deals exposure as well as campaigns once you are on FBA. And lastly, being on FBA means that you will have a higher chance of being the featured offer. This means that when customers click add to cart, if you are the featured offer, they're actually adding your products into their cart. So I believe some of you might know this featured offer as the buy box as well. And on top of all of this, the promotion that we have for FBA, which is a new selection program, I've mentioned earlier, will help you to deal with some of the costs involved for FBA. So with this new selection program, we are offering free storage and free removals for a limited time for eligible new to FBA ASINs. So firstly, for the free storage, we are offering a free monthly storage for the first 30 units per ASIN sent to the Amazon Fulfillment Center, and the storage will be for 90 days, okay, after the first unit is being received. And any point of time within this 90 days, you can also opt for the products to be removed if needed from the warehouse. And this is also applicable for an additional 90 days. So in total, you get free removals for 180 days from the first inventory received dates. However, do note that the free removal is only for a Singapore address, so you can get the warehouse to remove the products to any Singapore address indicated free of charge. So if you want more information on the FBA promotions as well as latest update on any other possible promotions that we might be having, feel free to refer to the handout that we have attached in this webinar as well. And with this new selection program, it's definitely a very low cost way for you to explore FBA with the Singapore warehouse. And for the new selection program, it is also a very easy enrollment with a one-click enrollment as well. And next, moving on to the deals and voucher, we are also currently having a fee waiver for these two merchandising tools. So just to share with you a little bit earlier on the free deal waiver that I've mentioned earlier, in the Singapore marketplace, we currently have three deal types, which is the top deal, lightning deal, as well as the 7-day deal, and sometimes it's known as the best deal as well. So with these three deal types, we are not charging any deal fee. It has been waived off. We know that compared to our .com, which is our US marketplace, it can typically cost up to $600 to run a deal. For Singapore, currently there is no additional cost involved for you to run any deals. And for vouchers, you can actually run vouchers for ASINs that are not in FBA. So this is a very flexible tool for you to use if you are not using FBA for your ASINs. This will help you to increase the attractiveness as well as sales of your products, because it helps you to provide additional savings on normal business days. So if you look at the screen over here, the voucher will look at something like this. So for example, you can set a $5 off voucher for this particular ASIN, and customers can collect the voucher to claim this promotion. And with vouchers and deals, both mechanisms have their own dedicated landing page where customers can see what are the deals for today, as well as what are the ASINs with vouchers created for the day as well. And likewise with deal, for vouchers, we are also waiving off the redemption fee, which can typically cost up to 6 cents per redemption as compared to our US marketplace. So there is currently no redemption fee for the Singapore marketplace for vouchers as well. So I would say that these two tools are definitely very excellent levers that you can pull to drive traffic and conversion for your products here in the Singapore marketplace. And moving forward to the next promotional tool, we are also running a promotion for our sponsored products. So very exciting over here. We have a free $65 for all sellers in Singapore marketplace which are new to sponsored ads. So you are given a $65 automatically when you launch your advertising account for you to run promotions for your sponsored ads in the Singapore marketplace. So with sponsored ads, the benefit that is that it will help you to drive product discoverability, because your ads will actually appear right where the customers are searching. So for example, at the top of the page. And sponsored ads also offers automatic targeting. So for sellers with no experience, it's actually very easy for you to start advertising. And currently with this $65, you can leverage on that to help you to get started. And for the latest updates on the sponsored ads, feel free to refer to the handout in the webinar as well. Next, we are also providing holistic account support for all sellers who are onboarding with us. So we have extensive support from our Singapore Seller Support Associates. They are here to help you with any Seller Central related issues that you might face. And account managers will also be able to provide a one-to-one support for high potential sellers. And some of the areas of support that can be provided are, for example, onboarding into the Singapore marketplace, listing creation. So this would mean that porting over of the listings from your source marketplace to the Singapore marketplace, or creation of brand new ASINs, for example. Listing optimization, so optimizing the product detail page so that customers will be able to find your products. And we will also be able to help you with feature adoption, such as what we've mentioned earlier: deals, vouchers, sponsored ads, and much more.
Thanks for sharing about the promotions, Angie. Now to the most important question. What are the costs involved when selling on Amazon Singapore, and where can sellers access resources?
So to go through briefly on some of the fees involved in selling on Amazon Singapore, you can look at the table over here. So firstly, the monthly subscription fee, which I've mentioned earlier, has been waived off to the end of this year. So absolutely no cost involved when it comes to the monthly subscription fee. We do have a referral fee that ranges between 6 to 15%, and it varies by the category. So depending on the category of the product, there will be a referral fee charged to the product once it's been sold, and it depends on the item price as well as the shipping fee as well. So a referral fee is present, and for fulfillment by Amazon, if you are using FBA for your ASINs, FBA fees will apply as well. So the two FBA fees that we are looking at is firstly the FBA storage fee. It is charged at $12.84. It's a Singapore dollars per cubic meter per month. Do note that if you are on the new selection promotion that I've mentioned earlier and your ASINs are eligible, you will not need to pay any storage fee for unlimited ASINs for the first 90 days. So there's definitely some promotions going on for the storage fee portion as well. And the next FBA fee will be the FBA Fulfillment Fee. It ranges between 270 to $13.59 Singapore cents. This is charged per unit once the item has been sold, and the price ranges depending on the size of the product. So this is the fee that is involved when an order has been made on your product, and our warehouse will need to pick, pack, and ship this product to the customer. So that's the FBA fulfillment fee over here. And lastly, for merchandising, which consists of deals, vouchers, that is absolutely free, as I mentioned earlier. You can do a self-service and set up your own deals and merchandising on Seller Central. And account management fee is totally free of charge as well. And you do have support from seller support as well as account managers, if applicable, given to the end of the calendar year. If you are interested to find out more about the related fees of selling with us, do visit our website at sell.amazon.sg. All right. And moving on to the next portion, which is on the tools and resources that you can use, we do have a robust resources available for new sellers or sellers like yourself to learn to sell on Amazon Singapore. So I would definitely encourage all of you here to follow us on our Facebook page. So do search for Sell on Amazon Singapore. You will be able to find our Facebook page where we regularly do updates on events as well as activities for you to take part in. For example, we do have seller ambassador meetups, so on and so forth. So all these latest updates will usually be shared on the Facebook page, so definitely follow our Facebook page. The next resources that you can tap on is our sell.amazon.sg website. So over on the website over here, we do have a lot of resources over to help you. So for example, if you navigate to the webinars, you'll be able to see our list of webinars, including listing webinars, as well as consultation sessions that you can attend for you to learn more about selling with us. Our pricing is also available over here, as well as some FAQ, the categories available, so on and so forth. So do visit our website to find out more. And lastly, we do have Seller University. I'm sure you are familiar with Seller University because this is present in the other marketplaces as well. So do take advantage of the information on Seller University to learn how to sell on Amazon Singapore. And next, I will be going through some of the very frequently asked questions that we get from audience members looking to launch their business from overseas into the Singapore marketplace. So I will go through some FAQs on fulfillment by Amazon. So there are three very commonly asked questions over here. The first question that we get a lot is on whether sellers can use their FBA inventory in other marketplaces, for example, in the US marketplace, to fulfill the orders from Amazon Singapore marketplace. So this is assuming that you are already using FBA for any of our other marketplaces. Can you use this inventory to fulfill the orders in Singapore? Well, the answer is no. If you would like to fulfill the orders in the Singapore marketplace, do note that you will have to ship the products directly into the Singapore Fulfillment Center. So to use FBA for our marketplace, you will have to ship the products directly from wherever you are into the Singapore Fulfillment Center, and the Singapore Fulfillment Center will be able to fulfill any Singapore orders that's made on Amazon.sg. And currently for Amazon.sg, do note that we are only offering delivery to Singapore registered addresses. So only customers who are residing within Singapore will be able to order from Amazon.sg. So that would be the answer for this particular question. And for the next question that we get very often is on whether the FNSKU For Amazon Singapore, is it the same as the FN SKU you have for FBA inventory in other marketplaces? So do note that each product in the fulfillment center needs its own FN SKU. So FN SKU stands for Amazon's Fulfillment Network SKU identifier. So the Singapore marketplace will have their own unique FN SKU. Thus, as moving on from the earlier question as well, because you won't be able to ship in your products from the US fulfillment center to the Singapore fulfillment center, because these two fulfillment center are using different FNSKU labels. So each FNSKU labels are unique to each marketplaces. So once you ship your products from your overseas warehouse into our Singapore fulfillment center, you can generate the Singapore specific FNSKU label via our Seller Central in your Singapore account. All right. The next question we get a lot is on do you have a list of logistics service providers or importers of records that we can work with for international shipping? So yes, we do have a list of logistics service providers as well as IOR providers in the webinar handout. So feel free to take a look at the handout for them as well. You can get in touch with them to send in your shipment. So when you are getting in touch with the third-party logistics provider, do a quick check with them to see if they offer IOR services, because IOR services is necessary for you to pay tax if needed, and for activities like customs declaration, etc. So do take a look at our handout for the list of service providers. All right, and now we have gone through the most commonly asked questions about FBA. Rachel, why don't you share with us some common FAQs for goods and services tax, which is GST?
All right, these are some common questions that our out-of-country sellers have regarding the goods and services tax in Singapore. In Singapore, we don't have VAT, we have GST, which is goods and services tax. So the GST rate in Singapore is 7% on imports above $400, including the shipping cost. So if the cost of your shipment is above this threshold, you will be required to pay the 7% tax. So do check with your logistics providers to see if they provide importer of record service or IOR services so that the GST can be charged accordingly. Many sellers also ask if they are required to be GST registered to sell in Singapore, and the answer is no. It is not a requirement to be GST registered in Singapore before you can sell on Amazon. You only need to be GST registered if the total value of your supplies of goods and services made in Singapore exceeds the registration threshold of $1 million in Singapore dollars at the end of the calendar year, or if you anticipate that the total value of your supplies will exceed the 1 million Singapore dollars in the next 12 months. Lastly, many sellers also want to know how much the import GST or duties is if they ship goods to the customer in Singapore from a location outside of Singapore. So if your products are shipped from outside of Singapore, the recipient of the product may be required to pay upon delivery an amount related to assessed import GST or duties. So unless the shipment is below 400 Singapore dollars, they will be required to pay a tax of 7% in addition to the sales proceeds collected by Amazon.
Thanks for sharing the information on the GST. Now, Rachel, what are some of the steps for our sellers here to launch their business on Amazon Singapore?
To launch your business in Amazon, the first step would be to do some research into the regulations in Singapore to ensure that the products you want to list on our platform are compliant with the policies here. You will then need to create your Amazon seller account in Singapore, which we will run through briefly later. Once your account is registered, you can then start to list your products and optimize the listings for better discoverability. Once the listings are complete, you can think about how you want to fulfill your orders and explore fulfillment by Amazon. Lastly, you can boost your product performance by adopting the various advertising and promotional features that Angie covered earlier. Once you have completed your research into the policies and regulations in Singapore and are ready to create your account, you can log into your seller account in your existing marketplace and look for the drop-down list located at the top right hand corner of the page. So it will look something like the first image here on the left. And if you see Singapore in the drop down list, you can proceed to click on Singapore and you will be brought to the next page on the right where you'll be prompted to confirm your decision to complete registration. Just click on continue registering, click on the continue registering button and you will enter the Singapore Seller Central web homepage without having to submit any further documents. So Angie, what can the seller do if they cannot find Singapore in the drop-down menu?
Mm. So in the event that you're not able to find Singapore in the drop-down menu, you can then apply for a Singapore seller account through the steps that you see on the screen over here. So first, click on inventory, then go over to the button called Sell Globally. And in this Sell Globally button, hover over to the Asia Pacific tab, click on Singapore, and you can choose to create a Singapore selling account and click on Register Now. So once you click on this, it will bring you through the workflow to create your Singapore seller account. So before you do that, do make sure you have the certain documents ready for upload. So the required documents when you are creating a Singapore seller account is firstly, we will need a valid ID document. This can be in the form of a driver's license or a passport, for example. So make sure that if you're using passport, it has a signature on them. And next, do make sure you have a valid bank account or a credit card statement that is dated within the past 90 days. So it has to be a recent statement. And thirdly, make sure you have a valid bank account or a third-party payment service provider for you to receive payments from Amazon. So this is for the deposit method. And for you to make payments to Amazon, you also need to make sure that you have a valid and chargeable credit card on hand as well that you will need to key in the registration process. If you want more information on the document types to register for your Singapore account, you can download our registration guide, which is in the handout as well. And just a little bit more information on the details for the documents needed. For the passport, if you're uploading one, please make sure that you show the signature page clearly. So there should be a signature on your passport, as well as the information page, which is where your picture is located, in a single PDF file. So for some countries, if your passport have a signature and picture on the same page, you can use that same page as well. Make sure that all borders of the passport is clearly seen, so no parts of the passport should be cropped in the document. And also make sure that it is a colored document that you are submitting, so do not submit any black and white scan of the passport. As for your bank statement, please make sure that it has a name and an address as well, and the information will need to be matching to the information that you have entered in the system as well. Also make sure that if you're submitting bank or credit card statement, it has to be a colored copy and a recent copy within the past 90 days as well. All right. So with that, I would like to give you a brief overview on the tools and features available in Singapore for you to launch seamlessly. So just to summarize, we do have a lot of good features and tools available for sellers like yourself to launch into the Singapore marketplace and to launch seamlessly. So first of all, if you do need to find third-party providers or partners to help you with some aspects of launching, we do have a robust service provider network. We call it the SPN network for you to help you to manage most of the aspects of selling on Amazon. So for example, if you need logistics help, listing help, so on and so forth. We also have the Amazon IP Accelerator program where it helps you to obtain intellectual property, IP rights, and brand building if you are looking into brand registry. Thirdly, we do have a built international listings feature. We call it BIL. So this BIL tool helps you to replicate your listings and offers in the source store. So wherever you're located, you will be able to easily port over these listings to the Singapore store. So definitely do make full use of the BIL tool when you are porting over your listings from the source marketplace into the Singapore marketplace as well. And in terms of merchandising, we do have sponsored products and advertising tools to help you to drive traffic to your stores as well. So other merchandising tools will include vouchers and deals that I've mentioned earlier as well. And for our Prime membership that Rachel has mentioned, members in Singapore will be able to enjoy free one-day delivery if you're offering your products through FBA as well. And with FBA, it will definitely help you to reduce time on operational resources, logistics, and any customer service worries. And with that, I would like to leave you with two testimonials from sellers selling on Amazon Singapore. All right. And if you would like to reach out to us, you can follow us on Facebook over here. So do scan the QR code to get in touch and follow us on Facebook. And you can also check out our sell.amazon.sg page, which has a lot of information such as webinars, step-by-step guides. We have a blog as well, seller tips, trends, insights. You can find all this information in this page as well. And lastly, you can contact us through the email address that you see on the screen as well. And with that, thank you so much for your time today. We will take a 30 seconds break before we move on to the live Q&A segment. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Let's move on to the Q&A section. Feel free to drop more questions into the chat and I will go through them. The first question we have is someone asked if I can explain the Singapore current market size, how Amazon Singapore's market size compares to other Amazon sites. So in general, Singapore has a relatively small population size if you compare to the likes of the US or the UK, but in terms of e-commerce penetration rate and um, propensity to spend, Singapore ranks quite highly as we've run through in the slides previously. So no worries there. If you do launch your business in Singapore, it's likely that it will take off. And then we also do have another question on how do we if we need an importer in Singapore in order to sell on Amazon FBA. So the answer to that question is it depends. So you will only need an importer of record. Say you are importing to our fulfillment center, you will only need to engage a logistics provider that offers importer of record services if you are sending in goods including the cost of shipping above $400 in Singapore dollars. So if the cost of your goods, including freight, is above 400 Singapore dollars, then you would need to engage a logistics provider with importer of record service. So just take note of that information. It's also included in our handout, so you can take a look at that. Um, we had another question. Someone asked how they can contact their account manager. So to contact your account manager, usually not all sellers will receive an account manager. So Amazon Singapore provides account management support for high potential sellers. So if you do have an account manager, the account managers will reach out to you via email. If no account manager reaches out to you, you can always utilize our seller support. So they provide 24 hours support. So you can always reach out to them to get any help on anything you need. We also had another question with someone asking about import tax. So in Singapore, as we mentioned in the Q&A also, the import tax is 7% for goods and freight above 400 Singapore dollars. So if your items that you're sending in is above $400 in value, then you would be subject to a 7% tax. And you would also need to engage a logistics provider that provides the importer of record service so that this tax can be billed to you. there was also a question on which categories to sell in. So you can take a look at the product selection guidance in the handout material, where we highlight which categories are currently popular here and slightly more insight into each specific categories, such as which items are doing well and which items you can potentially sell. So someone asked if their company is registered in the UK and they sell in Singapore, if they need to pay any tax other than UK tax. So same answer. You will only be subject to the 7% GST tax if you are shipping goods in above $400. You will not need to be registered in Singapore as a business in order to sell on Amazon Singapore. You only need to be registered if you foresee that the total sales of your store will exceed 1 million Singapore dollars in 1 year. We have another question on if they want to use their Australian account to extend in Singapore. Then for that, you would just need to follow the steps that we have gone through in the video in our webinar. So the first step would be to log into your Australian Seller Central account, take a look and toggle on the top right hand corner to see if you have a Singapore account already there. If you do, just click on that Singapore button and then click on continue registering to complete the registration in Singapore. If you don't have that, then you would need to go to inventory, sell globally, and then under sell globally, you can select the marketplace Singapore before you register for your account in Singapore. We also had another question on the FBA process. So if you're using FBA and sending an FBA when selling in Amazon Singapore, you would have to arrange for your own shipment to send your items to our fulfillment center. Once the items arrive at our fulfillment center, then anytime someone orders an item, Amazon Singapore's fulfillment center will pick, pack, and ship the items out to the buyer. And if there are any customer service requests, Amazon Singapore will handle those as well. Okay, next question we had was selling in multiple regions. So if you are trying to sell in multiple regions, you can apply the same method of creating your account in the different marketplaces. Just do note that the various marketplaces professional account fees will apply. So upon registering for an account in a new marketplace, you are automatically given a professional account. Currently, we do have a discount on multiple marketplaces for the professional account fees. So if you are in multiple marketplaces, you will be paying a fixed fee of $39.99 US, no matter how many marketplaces you expand into. But Singapore on its own does not currently charge for a professional account fee. So we are currently waiving all professional account fees in Singapore. If you have any more questions, do feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll wait a couple of minutes for more questions. Okay, we have another question on Amazon transparency, if it can be used in Singapore. So the answer to that is yes. If you are brand registered in Amazon Singapore, you will have access to Amazon transparency as well. So when you're starting your business in Singapore, once you've created your account, just log in to brandservices.amazon.sg and register your brand in Singapore. Once you've registered your brand, you have access to all the brand registry tools, including Amazon Transparency. Okay, that seems like all the questions we have for today. If you have no more questions, feel free to drop off the webinar, but I'll leave it open for a couple more minutes so you can ask any last questions that you have before we close this webinar. Okay, next question we have. We are a distributor. How do we process brand registry? So if you are an authorized distributor, then then you can reach out to brand registry to request for an authorized distributor access. You won't, however, be granted all the tools that a rights owner has on brand registry. But if you are an authorized distributor, you will be allowed to list the products under that brand without facing any gating issues. If you are not an authorized distributor and simply if you're not an authorized distributor and simply a reseller, then you will not have any access to brand registry, so you can you can ignore the brand registry portion. Okay, does this include brands registered in the United Kingdom? I think this question was relating to brand registry. So if your brand is registered, if you hold a trademark in UK, you can use that same UK trademark to register for your brand in Singapore by logging into brand services. So you just go to brandservices.amazon.sg and you submit your UK trademark, and they will be able to register your brand in Singapore as well. Yes, every time you expand brand registry every time you apply for brand registry in a new marketplace, you will still be required to submit the trademark, but you will not be required to um, get a trademark in the country that you are applying the brand registry for, as long as your brand registry, as long as your trademark is from any of the 16 offices that we allow the trademark to be from. So those are the offices that we recognize. You can see which these countries are in brandservices.amazon.com, and just take a look to see that your trademark is registered in the same country. If you don't want to go through the brand registry process and you are already registered as a brand in the UK, you can also just assign your Singapore account the brand representative role, and your Singapore account will not face any branding issues. Okay, next question is on what are the popular products in Singapore and what are the most successful categories. So, ever since COVID-19 happened, we have noticed that products in the beauty category and products in the electronics category have been on the rise. But for more in-depth insight into product selection, do take a look at our handout where we have a product selection guidance, and you can go through that to see which items would work best when expanding into Singapore. Okay, the next question is on storage limit for fulfillment by Amazon in Singapore. So we do have a storage limit in Singapore. As you know, Singapore is rather small. So currently the storage limit for new sellers is 250 units. But of course, this will be adjusted as we gather more data on your items. So if your items perform really well and sell out quickly, then over time, the inventory storage limit will increase and you can access your inventory storage limit on your Seller Central portal. Okay, we have another question on sending in items to Amazon FBA warehouse from Thailand. So yes, you can send in you don't actually have to be registered as a brand to send in items to our Fulfillment by Amazon warehouse. As long as you have a Amazon Singapore account, you will be able to start listing your products, and you can list them as FBA items. Once your items are sent into our warehouse, we will then set the items to live and you can start selling in Singapore. Okay, I hope I've answered all your questions. If you have any further questions, feel free to drop them in. If not, I will end this webinar in the next 5 minutes. Thank you all for joining this webinar. Okay, and sorry, we have another question on, is the storage limit per item or for all ASINs? So the storage limit of 250 is for all ASINs. So if you send in 50 different ASINs, you can send in 5 units each to make up to fully utilize the 250 storage limit.